Michael, our friend in the background, we need absolute silence in the background if because of the we hear audio from background. So please,
Hold
whatever,
on 1 second. I'll fix that audio in the background.
silence your phone too, because we don't want interference from recording. Okay, I'm live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, let me mute the YouTube. Okay, now we're back on Zoom. Okay, Zoom and the audience here. Our number of audience is going up so far. Anybody else want to? They're saying hi to Michael. Michael, can you see the chat box on the right? You can?
Me? Yes.
Yeah. Audience will eventually, at the last half an hour, will add their question for you, and you pick up the good ones to answer, because we don't have time to answer every question in this world, but you pick and choose, or we can read it to you at the end.
Yeah, David, you know what? Actually, because of the intense nature of things, I won't mind if you want to let questions come in and every now and then let me know what they are, because there's an awful lot of stuff going on, and I want to. This is going to be a very unusual kind of a presentation because stuff is going on quite a bit.
Audience, please understand, I'm on fire because of these events and what I do, and I have a temper. I'm a Persian blood, and this and that. So if you see a lot of talk from me, don't attack me. That's my nature, and I'm a friend with Michael for 30 years. We talk like buddies. So you guys might get upset. David, shut up, let him talk. So please do not do that. This is a friendly first talk. Later on in the future, we will do more. We just let Michael talk. So partially, I will speak also. Hello, everybody. Mark says, Mark Weatherly, I know you. So honored to have you guys on the audience. I'm your students, all of you, especially Michael is my teacher for 30 years. And sometimes I have ideas that he accepts too. Okay, without wasting time, we are live on YouTube. And let me do recording on, Michael, give me a minute, I speak, and then I let you carry on from there. Are you ready, Michael? Okay. Is your sound good? Can you speak 1, 2, 3?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Audience, is it sound good? Or if you want to get closer to the audio. Audience, can you hear Michael, right? Hi, Michael and say Thomas. Thomas, can you hear us, right? Yes, okay, they can hear you, right? Okay.
Okay, good.
I'm going to record, and let me talk 1 minute. Okay. Officially, we're going live, recording Zoom. Record. Okay, good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Saeed David Farmer, 5D Virtual, 5D Events. For past 10 years, we've been bringing you truth in science, consciousness, ET disclosure, health and wellness, business, and spirituality. This time, due to current events, we bring you 5D Virtual that we are hooking up with a lot of researchers worldwide. And a special guest today is Michael Horn. Mr. Michael Horn, welcome to 5D Virtual.
Hi, David. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who has decided to participate today and who may be participating in the rebroadcast of this presentation as well. And hopefully there will be good information for you to share with other people. And if you'd like, David, do you want to say any more, or shall I start to kick it in?
Basically, for the sake of a record, people who do not know anything about you or Figo or Billy Meyer, just briefly, a few minutes, just bringing them up with what is Figo, who is Billy Meyer, and who are you? And the more you say is better for everybody because you have accurate information. Your website, what do you do, all this stuff.
Okay. Well, as for the great cosmic question, who am I? Everybody can answer that for themselves, hopefully, at some point. we don't want to get too stodgy here. So I am Michael Horn. For 40 plus years, I've researched the information, evidence, prophecies, predictions, and spiritual teaching in what is known as the Billy Mier UFO contacts, the Billy Mier case, what have you. To condense this, I know that there are people now watching who know this information, but perhaps people who are coming upon this during the course of this broadcast or later. Billy Mier is an 83-year-old Swiss man. He has one arm. He lost his left arm many years ago in Turkey in a bus accident. Billy Mier claims that since he was a 5-year-old boy, that he has been having voluntary face-to-face meetings with human beings from another star system, about, I guess, 80 light years beyond the Pleiades that we see in the night sky. In 1964, Billy Mier went public, actually for the first time, in an interview with the Delhi Statesman newspaper in India, and a reporter there, whose name right now I'm not able to pronounce accurately, and I don't want to screw it up, interviewed young 27-year-old Edward Albert Mier, who was at that point pretty much a vagabond, if you will, traveling through many, many countries, studying, working his way as he hitchhiked through numerous countries. And at this point, he was studying Buddhism in the Ashoka Ashram in Marauli, India. When he came to the attention of this reporter at this still existing and very prestigious newspaper, he had in his possession an album, a photo album with 80 UFO photos, 1964, 80 UFO photos. This proved to be very interesting for the reporter, who not only interviewed Mier and kind of paraphrased his answers about some things, but he described a number of those photographs that he saw in that album in 1964. Well, that was quite remarkable, though largely unknown until we started to bring it more to public attention, as we did in the film that we produced called The Silent Revolution of Truth. We filmed that basically in 2006 and 2007 and released it in 2008. And we showed these same photos in that film, and in an article that I have on my website on theyfly.com, you'll see an article there if you just search for the term India. Now, why is this important? Well, I think I'll tell a little story that some people already know, but maybe a lot of you don't know, and why this is the foundational evidence that establishes the authenticity of Billy Mier's contacts with an extraterrestrial race in terms of the earliest physical evidence. It was about 3 years ago and change, in January of 2017. I've been up for a few days, sort of like this. Not literally all night, but
they call you from Saudi Arabia. They want to know about, well, what do you know about COVID-19?
All right, we're going to get there. So this is the warm up for people to join us and all of that. So in January of 2017, I got a phone call on a Saturday morning, 8:30 in the morning or so, from a man who only identified himself as Joe and said that he was an investigator. He didn't tell me what he investigated or for whom or what his last name was, etc. He asked if I'd speak to him about the Billy Mier case. I said I would, and he said, "Are you sure? Because I think it's a hoax." I said, "Well, fine, let's talk about it." So until the end of March or so, Joe and I, every Saturday morning, the phone would ring. I didn't have a number yet to reach him at. And he would ply me, for answers or responses to the many questions he had, some of which he would grunt a little bit through or an occasional aha or whatever. Joe disappeared then at the end of March, only to reappear somewhere in mid to late August of 2017. He called up on a Saturday morning and he said, "It's me, Joe. Are you still willing to talk to me?" I said, "Yes, of course. What do you want to talk about?" He said, "Well, I'd like to tell you, first of all, who I am. And then I'll tell you about your Billy Mier UFO case." So I said, "Well, okay, Joe, who are you?" Well, Joe said, "I was a top-level investigator."
Wow.
For the United States Air Force Office of Special Investigation and the Department of Defense. I did background investigation. I supervised investigations for both of these governmental agencies. We weren't concerned with UFOs. We were concerned with the security of the country. So he said, I personally not only investigated, but supervised the investigation of many, many people who would be seeking higher office or already in higher office, who would end up having their fingers on the nuclear trigger or in very influential roles in the military. He said, we ferreted out moles and spies. We did hundreds and hundreds of these types of investigations, and I supervised. So he said, after I spoke with you and you gave me your responses, your links, and I wasn't totally satisfied. So I went and in the past, several 5 months, I went further into checking everything out that you had told me. And I'll simply tell you right now that the Billy Mier UFO case is 100% ironclad, authentic, and I will take on any skeptics on your behalf. Joe said, now, don't take my word for my own credentials, check your email. So I went to the email, I opened it up, and there were documents from the Department of Defense, United States Air Force. Clearly this man was and is who he says he is. For a while, he then submitted a document to me for publication on the blog. And just a few months ago, he said, please do me a favor. Take that document down right now, and I'll tell you why. He said, I am doing an even more in-depth examination on this case. And I'm now directly in touch with Billy Mier's people in Switzerland, and I'm feeding them the results of things, having conversations, getting more information from them because they have access to greater information than I do. And he said, after we have compiled everything, I will then want to publish another article and we'll put it up broadly. He said, right now, based on what I know about the Mier case, I'm going into full, in depth, and I'm going to give everything to them because this is true. It's real and it's important.
That's right.
Yeah. So a lot of people who are familiar with the context know already that we have many people who have evaluated and examined Mier's evidence since 1978. Independent experts from NASA, JPL, USGS, IBM, McDonnell Douglas, from different sound laboratories, et cetera, et cetera. So at this point, it isn't, I don't feel necessary to go over and try to establish that the Billy Mier's contacts are real.
Sorry to interrupt you. When you say sound, they wanted to check that UFO sound gets UFO, the noise of the recording. Is that why I see? Yeah.
Okay, I'll explain a little more. On 4 separate occasions, Billy Mier recorded the sounds of the craft, and I think that they were exclusively from the Pleiaren and Asket and or Quetzal, but just to be sure, let's just say they are the craft from these extraterrestrials. Mier recorded them using an Iowa portable, tape recorder.
Yeah, this is 1960s, 70s, right?
70s, and he was out in open fields. And
I listened to it. Yeah, and I listened to it. I really believe the authenticity from even listening to that and watching the videos and stuff. The question I have, my apology interrupting you. What's the engine? Is it nuclear? Is it how does the inertia works in their ship?
Well, here's what I want to say about the technical things about UFOs. And that is that, number one, there are physicists like David Froning, who has already publicly at one of my presentations made a statement about how much they feel they've learned about the propulsion, blah, blah. I don't want to even venture into that too much because, one, whatever information we have about that is probably either on my website or blog or on the Swiss blogs. And even in, at FIGU in Switzerland, the organization that publishes Mier's information, this is not the focus anymore because there's nothing we can do with UFOs right now.
Exactly.
We can simply say the evidence has been authenticated. This man, Billy Mier, living in Switzerland, has taken 1,200 plus still irreproducible, really. Not that you can't make an effect like his stuff, but still irreproducible UFO photos, films, video, the metal samples, the sound recordings, blah, blah, blah. It's real. Now, what do we do with that? We move to, let's say, the next step, which I called the higher standard of proof, which is the prophetically accurate scientific information, also geopolitical and environmental, that we have come upon and culled from the English language text, which represent only probably about a fifth or less of all the documentation that still exists in German. There are a number of people who throughout the years, along with me, have either incidentally, accidentally, or otherwise found information published by Mier, and I first started to corroborate that in 1988, information that he verifiably published well before 1988, in many cases, going back to the 50s, about specific scientific, quote unquote, discoveries, events, what have you, that our NASA and JPL and other parties would make decades later, and that we can prove through copyrights and in published books and documents that Billy Mier verifiably published before our scientists discovered it. I have my own personal interactions with scientists, including last year up at the USGS in Flagstaff, where Andrea and I went up with our information. We met with a very nice gentleman, Ken Herkenhoff there, who's working on the Mars rover project, and he does image analysis and photography examination. He was baffled by how Billy Mier could have published so much specific scientific information on Mars and other things. He simply said, well, maybe he's a good guesser. And I said, Ken, you know, and the scientist writes me and he says, I hope you're not going to try to convince me about this. I said, well, of course I am. You're a scientist. Shouldn't you want somebody to come forward with evidence that you can vet and that you can determine as a scientist is accurate and was verifiably published before you geniuses ever came upon it? So anyhow, I tease Ken about that. I publish the information about our meeting and et cetera, and even some of our conversations, because we are in a time now, which is what we're getting to now, David, which is, it is the information that Billy Mier has verifiably published before official discovery pertaining to the first coronavirus, which turned out, Mier publishes it in 1995. And then years later, 5 years later, we have SARS, because Mier says this would be a lung, an epidemic that would come out of a laboratory in Guangdong, China. That's where SARS came out of. So,
Michael, do you have on YouTube any recording on a quatrain of the number of the quatrain to find any video on the on that Billy Mier COVID-19?
Well, what's even easier than that, I have a blog, and a lot of people know, but some don't. It's called They Fly Blog. Hi there, Lilian. We have a blog. It's called theyfly.blog.com, and we have a website. Very subtle, David. That's good.
Can you type all your websites plus Figu English website, everything that people should know about your websites on the chat box, please?
You know what? I'm going to ask Liliana and or Catherine, anybody who knows, to type in for me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I don't want to
miss them and walk at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
So theyfly.com, and then we have the blog, and you'll get that information.
That's
right.
Yeah.
From everywhere that's joining us around.
Michael, by the way, this is Said David Pharma 5D virtual 5D events. Welcome everybody at the audience. And Michael, by the way, Michael, we have people from Australia, Italy, and Canada, and we are now international blog right now. People watching you, and thank you, Emmanuel, Jean, for figu.org, the fly.
Canada's
for the audience on YouTube. Well, there's so many of them. Theflyblog.com.
We've got the UK there with Matthew Knight. I'm so glad to see you guys, everybody joining us. So we're doing right now, because I know that people will, keep joining, a little filler information. So David just asked about a YouTube video where people could see, talking about this 1995 information. So let me make it simpler. on the They Fly blog, you're going to find something called Contact 251. Pardon me, on theyfly.com, you'll find Contact 251. I'm referring it to.
Okay, that's what I need. Contact 251. Yeah.
Right. And I'm referring now, it's also existing on the websites and newsletters and everything from Catherine. It's on the Swiss site. It's on the site in Australia and the UK. I'm referring people to theyfly.com because it's been on my website verifiably for at least 15 years. And in Contact 251, if you search for lung, let's say you use the word lung there, and I'm not doing my own searches right now because I don't want to start running around, you're going to find that statement that Billy Mier makes. And what you have to understand about Contact 251, as well as a number of the other documents that are very rich in prophecy and prediction, they do not go in a linear, sequential manner where you're getting the, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. Now that was done to some degree in some of the earlier information, I think from Asket, from some of the earlier information, even from Semyaze and all. What you need to know here is when you look at these current prophecies and predictions now, you will be able to see things jump out at you and you're going to go, well, that happened, but this next thing doesn't look familiar. Some of these things haven't happened yet. Now, I just want to share something because I just got someone submitting information that last night on Coast to Coast AM, they brought on a doctor who was discussing the corona, COVID-19, and there's an overreaction from the US and the rest of the world about this, blah, blah, blah. And I want to say something. I want to digress here because I'm glad I saw that come in. I was on Coast to Coast in February, perhaps it was around the 27th or so. And it was after that time, after we then had posted on the 25th, all this information specifically about coronavirus, I got back in touch with Coast to Coast and George Norrie's producer. And I said, I'd like to go on for 15 minutes because you have this broad audience here. And there are millions of people that should know the true facts about COVID-19, because I spoke about a lot of things on that interview, and I've written to them 2 or 3 times. They've refused to do it. They've refused to do it. Now, if you go and you start to look at Coast to Coast and you look at their, I'm not looking at it right now, homepage, you'd think there's nothing going on except metaphysical paranormal nonsense in the world. So I've listed George Norrie and Coast to Coast in the things that I put out as among the profiteers who simply want to rake in as much money and not get into this quote unquote controversy because it's bad for business. So you understand the way
we face that every day on air, a lot of people, I'm not naming them. Yeah.
I have submitted this among the high profile people for years to whom I've submitted Mier's prophetic warnings. Drudge Report. Drudge Report has gotten all the news that they are putting on their front page. We've sent it to them already long ago. Joe Rogan, who
I remember CNN even, you even contacted
all of them, CNN, Reuters, I've sent to everybody. The Daily Mail, the UK, the Telegraph, Express, etc. Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, one of the biggest profiteers of all, who just tries to work people up into conflict with each other. They look at Mier's material.
Let people die in ignorance, physical and mental and spiritual death. That's what is now.
And they will hold on to the end. Look, I have sent things to the New York Post, to everybody you can probably think of, as other people who are trying to help have done. They refuse to acknowledge it. They suppress it. They ignore it.
That's right.
It is coming home to roost. The problem here, and some of you know, I have a wonderful friend in New York, a doctor who's on the front lines in the hospitals there. And it is heartbreaking what he and his colleagues are going through. 2 nights ago, he told me they brought in 125 more COVID patients into the hospital that he's in alone. the hospitals in New York City and other places are being overwhelmed by this. And he saw Billy Mier's information on this on the 29th, 4 days after we published. We were in touch then. He said, everything, this is all accurate. We are just beleaguered here already. Now you have to understand, Mier was discussing this as early as November 12th last year with a play on. We're getting up translations as we get them from our good friends in Canada, and Australia, and the UK, et cetera, from people in America who are upgrading the translations. And then January 2nd, and I think January 6th, we just put up links to the Future of Mankind site with translations that were a bit polished for the contact, I think 731 and 734. People are helping to run these things.
Michael, we got to speed up. 26 minutes gone. My question is, what the quatrain exact contact note 251 exactly saying?
Well, in 251, there's one long sentence or two at the most, and anybody who's going to look it up for us right now can type it into the chat if you want, and let David see what it says. That was the first warning. It is the warnings that have come that we first received for publication on February 25th that are of critical importance, because then there's March 16th, and then the ones that were just translated that we put up a day or two ago. This stuff covers all the known and unknown scientific information about this disease, its mutations, its transmission through the breath, through objects, the temperatures at which this can take place, the fact that in the warmer weather, contrary to popular belief, it's not going to be better, it'll be worse because it'll stay in the air longer. Okay, you can read all the stuff that's on the blog, on all the other FIGU related blogs, you can translate information. What you have to understand is there still is an embargo against this information. Think about how foolish. We've sent the links to major newspapers that are reporting on this, right? And they won't touch it, they won't acknowledge it, despite the fact that it could save still thousands to millions of lives. And I'm going to give you a very personal example now that I haven't written about yet, because I've been trying to break through on something. In Flagstaff, Arizona, we have a hospital here. Now on March 5th of this month, I sent the first of 4, 5, or 6 emails openly covered to the governor of the state, hospital representatives, people on the city council, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, directing them just a nice email, please vet this information. It is the most accurate information you will get February 25th. Nobody would respond to me in the entire email thing in the state. Finally, after badgering, some people told me to take them off the list, of course, and then I spoke with one person on the city council and then another who, to their credit, at least would talk to me. Today, I got an email from one other guy in the city council telling me, well, you should talk to the hospital people. So I wrote back, honest to gosh, and I sent them, I'm going to publish this stuff, you know, for those people who care. I said, look, you're on the city council, and I'm trying to show these people. Now, I spoke this morning. This is so important to us here, and you'll see it why it's important to all of you when you, in your own communities now, try to get your hospitals to secure. Otherwise, this country will be decimated for months and months and months to come, and it will continue to spread. Here's what happened. Finally, I spoke with a nurse at I'm not saying male or female here, there are male and female nurses at our local hospital. They told me they don't have the personal protective equipment necessary, the hazmat type suits. The hospital, well, first we hear about it's in a newspaper article yesterday or something. They have at least 24 cases with 10 a day coming in a hospital that does not have a hermetically sealed environment. They proudly say they're making the whole hospital available to these patients. That means they are breeding and spreading this disease through this community and every other one, including the Native American communities. And as we know from a conversation that Kenneth Smith had with a guy from the Mayo Clinic, the Native American peoples are as susceptible because of a specific gene or absence of one as the Asian people. And of course, now everybody's getting it because—
Yeah, that, my apology, cutting in. That's one of their agenda, to cut native and kill natives. We just heard in Brazil today, one sick doctor made a few villages sick in Amazon. So they're just trying to go around the Agenda 21, and different things that they're planning to do. Like they burned the Amazon, now they want to kill the Amazonians. Now the American Indians. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, that has these problems with the rainforest and the cynical, profit-oriented administration president in Brazil, who's obviously an ignorant lunatic.
It's an agent. These are actors they put in places as an agent in a certain times. Okay. Like this guy and that guy. We don't want to name him.
I don't want to get into any of the conspiratorial element because, number one, David, I can't prove that it's true or not.
My apology. Go ahead.
Okay, it's all right. What we are dealing with in reality, our feet on the ground reality, is complete irresponsibility. And this is what the Playaran told Mier back in November and in January. The worldwide authorities and leaders are completely incompetent to
exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
And while we applaud that, that's bad news for the human beings of planet Earth. It's especially bad news that they will not listen to this. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing here. My doctor friend in New York, I put him in touch with another doctor. There's a Dr. Megan Babb, B-A-B-B, who's wonderful, strong woman, a physician in Northern California, has 4 kids. She's out there pounding away, publishing information from other doctors. I put her in touch with my doctor friend in New York. She's in touch with a Dr. Cornelia Griggs. And now hopefully these people are speaking, and they have a couple people in the press and in media to whom they are speaking. The problem is, while they may want to bring forward the source of this information, the Mier material, they too know that they're going to be either possibly blackballed, suppressed, or ridiculed. So here's what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the real and true situation. We who know this material from Mier to be 100% accurate and more, and can prove every word of it, meaning that anybody who wants to can prove it to themselves, sit here twiddling our thumbs and biding our time until at some point, some genius in the media will deign to say, we'd like to know more. Well, here it is. We've been trying to give it to you. So it's a painful thing. It's painful because in the community that I'm in and the communities that you're in, all these people are fumbling around trying to be important and tell you that, oh, it's all okay. And then your media, they don't know a damn thing. They don't want to let on they don't know a damn thing. And the last thing they want to do is have a little, pot-belly, gray bearded, late middle-aged Swiss man tell them, you're all full of crap. Now pay attention, and you're not going to be able to straighten this out otherwise. Now, the problem is that because of the up to 3-month incubation period and the asymptomatic spreaders, people can go into, oh, you're fine, nothing wrong here, and they're contaminating people. That's why, think about it. You have people throughout the United States, where this started to pop up. They had no connection that they could figure out to China, Iran, Italy. They didn't travel to those countries. They didn't know anybody who had. But people who are asymptomatic carriers have come through. Maybe they were on a flight where somebody had come who'd been in those countries, and now they're flying from New York to Boston. Do you understand? We are sitting ducks for this because this germination, and in the Mier material, in the last couple of transcripts that we posted that are up on Future of Mankind now, they're talking about how this thing can pop up a year later. I mean, and the variations and the mutations, children now who were initially immune hidden spreaders are now going to be afflicted and will be casualties of this disease. Pregnant mothers who come in showing no signs in the hospital, suddenly their lives are at risk. Suddenly, look, it is unless the people, and right now at this moment, we have a small audience that we're speaking with and to. hopefully in my saying that, you who are now watching this on YouTube later will decide to be proactive in defense of your own life. The experts and authorities are not going to take care of it. The nurse I talked to today, this morning, the nurse told me that the whole problem they have in the supply chain with the people who allocate the money for this, they don't have a hermetically sealed environment, they don't have the right suits. This is the breakdown here. And then we have, unfortunately, however we feel about politically, you've got a president who's incapable of handling this. And you can say, well, it's Trump and the Republicans and all that. Had the Democrats not created a phony investigation based on nothing and tried to impeach this imbecile with stuff that wouldn't stick, they could have had credibility now to remove him for being incompetent. Last September, whatever it was, when I was reading some of the transcripts that were on the FIGU website, where Billy and the player were talking about this man is an imbecile, he's incompetent. They should get him out of, and at that point, I'm not feeling he's any better or any worse than anybody else in there. I'll be honest with you, I'm not political, and I'm not paying that much attention to how bad he could. And they're saying he should be removed from office right now. And I'm thinking, well, good luck. The Democrats have blown that one. Now we can see why. You've seen the video clips online. I'm sure day one, there's only one person and Trump is making, it's nothing. It'll be gone soon. And then there's 80,000 people. The guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's way over his head. Will he be reelected? Who knows? Will he even end up being the final Republican candidate, et cetera, et cetera? Somebody's just popped in, I guess. So there's all sorts of stuff here that remains to be seen. We don't know that the senile Joe Biden will even ultimately, who knows, maybe they push Andrew Cuomo in. That's all politics. None of those people.
It doesn't matter who is in charge.
Doesn't matter right now because
is our future, our kids, our planet, and our actions. They did whatever they want. Now is our turn to do what we want to do for the future.
Now that we've said that, David, nobody's going to disagree with that. May I say that unless we start stepping up and demanding and going public, I don't mean insulting people, that won't get it there. You know, I mean, I've insulted quite a few people in my time here. This is where we have to individually find out who in our cities, in our countries, are aware of this information that and create a little coalesced unit on behalf of these people. We are writing to you as the hospital administrator, the governor, the mayor, the this, the that. We are demanding you look at this information. We would have had thousands of lives would have been saved had that stuff been not ignored and suppressed by everybody that did see it, that to whom it was sent. And believe me, day in and day out, many hours a day, that's what's happening over here. And other people are helping. It's not just me. We're trying to get this into Spanish, most all of this information, and into other languages where it may not yet exist there. In Italy, it's you know, this information is known, but it's come to
the Republic is falling. And you have that contact note that the civil war is coming. So I want to tell the audience, do not bypass that contact note. So therefore, our future is going different direction, that we have to clearly understand what we're going to do. And we have the Third World War with China, Russia, and a bunch of countries coming too, which it will end up in nuclear event. So why don't you talk about those?
Well, let's put it this way. And I just took a quick glance because I'm not really looking at the chat right now. I'm going to leave that to David, and you guys who are sharing information as well, you should, and find out ways to just email each other or what have you, vet each other carefully and all the rest of it. Okay, look, what we are looking at here is the most overt, in-your-face, living confirmation of the law of cause and effect. We have been warned, warned and warned for decades that certain things are coming because humankind, first of all, who a lot of people don't want to hear this, and we're not talking conspiracy, we've overpopulated the planet, and it can't really keep up with the production of food that isn't being grown under these terrible conditions where it's pumped full of that, you know, Roundup and all the rest of the junk. How does the planet dispose of all the waste? We can see that that's not happening. Barges of plastic, oceans of plastic, the atmosphere. I don't have to tell people that the environmental damage is real. There are people in denial of it. Billy Mier is the first person himself in 1951 at the age of 14 to warn about the coming unnatural, man-made climate change, global warming, destruction of the ozone, coming increased frequency and intensity of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions due to the extraction of petroleum and natural gas, the over mining of the planet, the overbuilding of cities, the damming of water. This stuff, this is preaching to the choir. I mean, I want to answer in this way, David. This is part of the spiritual teaching saying, human beings of Earth, you didn't study, you didn't listen, you didn't test and apply. So now you get the consequences of your ignorance. And it's an equal opportunity destroyer, unfortunately. The good people, and that means any and everybody who wants to do well, you don't have to know about the Mier material, it'll help. But the people that want to do well and want to do right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, well, we're in it together with everybody who didn't care. All of us can't help it. We've used cars and plastic bags and all the rest of this. And we're trying to do the best we can. So to answer about what's coming, we haven't even begun to touch on yet the coming environmental destruction in the form of now all of these earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, sea quakes, the undersea volcanoes, the stuff that's coming to Italy, more that's coming to Indonesia. We have a little piece of information that in New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand will be destroyed by volcanic eruptions. No dates given on that. It's just like a friend of mine who spends time there said, well, I'm not aware of any volcanoes in Auckland. I said, I went online. Volcanoes near Auckland, New Zealand, there's 5 or 6 of them. So nobody is immune to the consequences here. The specific things about the coming global financial crash, we can see that. You know, again, yesterday I put the blog up with my silly little video from 2006. I asked Billy, and he said, well, if things go a certain way, you may as well roll cigarettes with your paper money. Well, it appears that things are going that way. And we've got his information.
Up your stocks, up your whatever.
From 2017, further information about the coming global crash. Now, some people are saying, well, isn't the war supposed to happen first? The World War, the war with China, the war with Russia, or the American Civil Wars. Folks, we are in the steps, the sequence of the global financial crash, the coming cashless society, the attempts to biochip everybody, et cetera, et cetera. This isn't about conspiracies. This isn't right in front of our face. That's the joke about it. Everything's going on right in front of our faces. Now, people, if we simply preach to the choir, if we only talk amongst ourselves on my blog or on Figu blogs, on the forum and all, what good does it do? We must take our intentions and find a way to bring them into the mainstream, into the alternative as well. Imagine what would happen if all the people who are watching this, and right now it's a small number, but who watch this on YouTube, would force Alex Jones, tell him, we know you're suppressing this. Or Joe Rogan, we know you're suppressing this. Or Drudge, we know you're suppressing this. In my email yesterday to all the people in Arizona that I wrote to, I said, you will be held accountable. And this is what we must tell people. Now that you know, what will you do? You will be held accountable because you're not immune.
You hide the truth. Yeah, you hide the truth.
We are all susceptible to this thing that these other people, pardon me, I think it's only from being dropped.
Yeah, take your time. Let me give you a second to breathe. Audience, you're watching 5D events, 5D virtual. Check our website, New Humanity Movement, join our movement. What Michael was saying, we have a model that of conscious people, health and wellness people, activists, new age people, star kids. Don't touch your face. So basically, people who can create a better future with bio architecture, with biomedical sciences, with quantum consciousness, with quantum science, with the space science, with contacting extraterrestrials who are contacting us. So we had multiple physical and telepathical contacts during past 30 years, all of us, including Michael, that all this aside, we are moving very fast towards a new future. So my suggestion is make a small groups, 50 around you first, and then you expand. And that 50 people, like Michael said, is your immediate adjacent people who follow you, not only your family, your friends, but the people who can help you in medical, education, food at the time of need, and you support them in spiritual values, mindfulness, being a good Samaritan, my English, sorry. So my brother from Iran this morning is overnight there. He texted on WhatsApp, why you guys are so scared in America? What you would do if you were Iranians over here? And what's going on? CNN, everybody's freaking out over there. By the way, he's an American citizen. He was here many years. And he says, be strong. That's America, guy. What are you guys fearing about? And all this fear bullshit. And I say, you're right. I promise you, I'm not afraid. Life and death doesn't mean anything to me. It's all same from door to door, going from one room to another and coming back or not to this life again. So the value of what I believe, my consciousness, the only thing I can take from this world with me, my memories, my family's memory, my best friend's memories, all these karmic things and our actions, these are most important things. And that's what we have to, sorry, I'm taking time. So basically, New Humanity Movement, be creating, support us financially and join our teams to create those with virtual, with 5D events.com, between events. Go ahead.
I wanted to jump in on two things, David, because it's important. Because a lot of people that follow the Mier material, and Catherine has already pointed this out, we do not subscribe to the idea that there are multiple people getting telepathic, contacts. I'm just laying it out because there's no evidence for it. And let's just say this. If there's any other extraterrestrial contacts going on, that's fine and dandy. All they have to do is actually produce the evidence for it. But it's irrelevant at this point because while we know the Mier contacts are genuine, they've given us everything we could want. We don't need to be dazzled by somebody floating around in the sky anymore. We have the information we need. As for, not worrying about this life too much, we have a responsibility, and it's clearly expressed in the spiritual teaching that we are not to trivialize or minimize the value of our experience in our life now, because what we're calling karma and we'll come back with all this stuff. We don't know that because, let's face it, none of us, you, me, or anybody else sitting here can really say, oh yeah, I remember my last life and all this information and these people and memories. And the reason we don't have access to that is we couldn't handle it. So let's take this life seriously. Let's be sincere about what we can do now. None of the organizations that are out there in terms of the environmental groups or anything else know enough that warrants, in my opinion, sending them a penny. They can't do anything with it. They're paying themselves. Maybe they're paying lobbyists or whatever. As Mier said years ago, from here on, true leadership will only come from the ground up. That's us. And we don't have to go out there and, and run for office. If you can, if you're willing to take that and you can stand for it, go ahead. But it's really going to happen more, pardon me, at this foundational grassroots level, interconnectivity. Billy Mier talked about a snowball rolling down a hill, gathering momentum and mass and force and energy until the silent revolution of truth is silent no more. And truth is here. And we know it. This is a long, very long range thing. The challenge right now is for us to survive ourselves and our stupidity. And we can only do that by sobering up and taking time to be reflective. taking time to go, wait a minute, what is my responsibility? Who am I in this? A lot of us don't really want to take in the reality of this. George Norrie and the profiteers, they don't want to go, wait a minute, let's go with a safe guy who's going to say it's blown out of proportion, because George wants to sell storage food and peddle bullshit endlessly. And thank you very much for having me on. But when I came back to share the most critical and important information, give me 10 minutes, 15 at the most. Everybody can, no, you had time. You were on a couple of days ago. Why should we have you on? You're not a doctor. I mean, this is the thing. And as the producer, who I've known for many years through conversation at Coast to Coast, said, and she said to me, well, I think I must be in denial. And I said to her, yes, you are. You're in deep denial. Now, I don't want to waste people's time by trying to reiterate and go over everything that is now freely available online. Certainly my blog, for the last more than a month, at least once a day and sometimes more, I've put up a blog relevant to all of this, including hammering away with, hi, Jaron. Hammering away with the incompetence and the CDC and how they have hampered the medical community, as I learned from Dr. Friend in New York City, as I learned from Milan and in Los Angeles, as I read from Dr. Babb. There's another woman who wrote a brilliant article on Medium. I think it's called medium.com. I think she calls herself cynical. It's some kind of a weird thing, but she's great. She wrote a wonderful article. All these people are speaking up, but they have to get interlinked and interconnected, and pressure has to be applied up the chain of command. These people who live in this ivory tower mentality don't think they'll ever be affected. A lot of these hospital administrators are not in their offices. They're home, playing it safe while they collect and cash their checks. All the medical personnel on the front line are inadequately prepared. And while they may not care about it, what we must realize is the medical personnel are the first line of defense. The first line of defense. When that line of defense goes down, and it goes down, it's attacked already, hospitals and medical facilities around the country, that means the patients and the public at large are now vulnerable. And you cannot even guess who's carrying this now in your community, how'd they get it, because the press has concealed that information under, patient confidentiality. A lot of that has to go out the window. You at least have to know where these people were what doctor referred them to a hospital. How many people were in that doctor's office? Were the medical staff, the patients, who drove that person to and from, or who met them there? All of these details should have been made known, certainly to the medical people who, if they were competent, the administrators and governmental agencies, they would have followed up and started to quarantine all connected people in quarantines that were hermetically sealed and far longer than 2 weeks. I can only hope that we will be able to spread this information more broadly and get action for the medical personnel. It's an investment in your own life. If you're not a doctor, a nurse, a caregiver, you better support these people because they are protecting your life. This is going out courtesy of hospital administrators and the CDC. I just put up a blog. I forget what I even just titled the blog I sent out there today. Let me see if I can find it. It's just like, oh God, I don't know here.
Exactly. I totally agree. And holy cow, this is bigger than Trump, bigger than governments, and bigger than China, America. By the way, what Billy Mier says, who's responsible for this virus?
This was a bioweapon accidentally released and it was not created by the official Chinese government. That begs a few questions. We're not going to go.
Not by, oh, you're clear on that.
It was a secret lab, one of several secret labs. And if we read between the lines, we could conjecture that our own beloved CIA has labs in different countries, probably with Chinese nationals that they paid a very pretty penny to, who are developing these bioweapons.
It was some corporation, you're saying, like Billy.
No.
Name his last
name. Came out of, as the first one did, it came out of a bioweapons facility. What we have to understand, the real important point here, is that the human beings of Earth have allowed and supported governments, not just ours and not just theirs, who have insane human beings at their helm, with insane people in the military, industrial, scientific communities who spend all of these resources to create things such as these to wipe out humankind. Voila. Now, to answer as best I can, from what I understand, and anybody can put it in the chat room, a bioweapon accidentally released, not created by the Chinese government, created in secret labs there. You can read between the lines. Was it the CIA or somebody else? It doesn't matter. It's out. And worrying about Bill Gates or anybody else doesn't matter. Even right now, 5G, it's a horror story. Doesn't matter. If we don't get some control over this, 5G will be broadcasting to a very barren country. So this is not, the scariest thing isn't telling the truth about this. The scariest thing is the way the truth is suppressed and then gets parsed out when we in this community have known it for so long and have to sit back effectively and go, well, when do you want to finally, pay attention here? The medical community is slowly, well, they haven't gotten to the place yet, from what I understand, where they even recognize everybody in this chain of events, patient, doctor's office, nurse, relative, hermetically sealed quarantines, 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever it takes to determine. And it might be longer.
It's sad. It takes $10 million to train a doctor and get him on the job. And each doctor dies is $20 million loss. And in Italy, 50 doctors died. In Iran, they're dying. And it's the saddest story of humankind when the doctor dies or the nurse. And then, my apology. And then they're saving this, paying $1,000 to public that people are dying next door on food stamps and stuff. They yanked it 6 weeks. So more people die, the less people collect the money. And on the government checks, we just told me last night, it says, if this person is dead, tick mark here and mail the check back. So this is the government we have. They can't even get $1,000 to people. So these are dilemmas we have. But when it takes to sending money to Israel, $60 billion per year, here, boom, 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 $60 billion. Where the money, what Israel is doing that money? Give us the money back. We need the money now, Israel.
Well, it's not just the money. The money, of course, is important because it could go to securing these medical facilities and hospitals. When I spoke with the nurse this morning, they said to me, I didn't plant the seed. They said, I have to tell you, you may not agree, but this is going to last more than what the officials are saying in a month or so. They said to me, I think this could go well into next year.
2 years. Or some people say two huge astrologers are saying 4 years.
Well, the astrologers, okay, we'll leave that alone for now. The fact is, it's here, it's upon us, and we have to get to be proactive and effective. Again, right now, we're still speaking to our choir, so to speak, here. So what do the people who are the participants here do? Well, one thing, when there's a link for the recorded YouTube version of this, if they feel that this is effective and represents as much truth as possible, they get that link out. They put it on every forum, every YouTube channel as much as they can. Get this out to the people who don't know. And don't be shy about it. What do you have better to do? You're at home now. Many people are under quarantines, right? You can't even go outside.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Said David Farman. We will save this video on YouTube on the 5D Virtual, which I hope on 5devents.com, we will hopefully put a copy, an embedded copy, and you guys share the video also. And like Michael said, and let the information pass. I've done my best to raise my voice at my age to do my job. So it's your turn. Karmically, every person, everybody you can help them. And Michael is doing his job. Thank you so much. And 5D Virtual, we would our channel name on YouTube. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, as I'm saying, and as we all know, we can spend an hour or two or three more basically saying the same thing over and over. I think what we want to do is see right now. Let's see if there are any questions that we really haven't come to address that are in the chat room that possibly could address. Because again, I'm not the authority that you need here. When you consider that what's really going on is all of the
audience is mostly typing their own ideas. Audience at this time, Michael is asking, put your most important question that we can address.
If there's anything I can possibly answer, I don't know that I can. So
what about interferon?
Right.
Or
okay.
chlorine for treatments? Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about treatments per se. It's fair to say, obviously, that there are physicians all over the world working with any and every possible lead they can. And yes, for some people who've asked, I personally think that quite obviously the play iron have impulsed to people, put the impulses out there for the scientists who can grasp, who will develop, hopefully cures, vaccines, whatever you want to call it. What you and I mean, unless you're a physician working in this realm right now, in which case you're probably not sitting around watching our broadcast, we can support and speak about and share information on this, but it isn't the most effective thing we can do right now. Now, some people can say, well, I want the benefit of this treatment that they found for malaria. Go to the doctor or contact somebody and see if that's something you can get. But we have to understand the perspective. The problem that has existed with online communication for so long is that we've rushed into all sorts of information. Some of it's true, a heck of a lot of it isn't. Some is speculative, and we've gotten caught up in talking about stuff about which we can do nothing.
Audience is asking, is civil war coming?
Well, yes, of course. I would say, from my perspective, we've been in the early developmental stages of it for some time. The polarization politically in the country prior to this thing was very clear and very apparent, how it's on these stupid political lines. It's left versus right, far left, far right, the ignorance of the politicians and the media who foment people like Alex Jones, who continue to stir it up and want to provoke and bring this on now. This is not reasonableness. So yes, Billy foretold this in 81 and 86, and other people have also foretold coming civil wars, but I would say right now those are predictions. They can develop further out of the way this is being handled by politicians. This makes the condition ripe for demagogues, some terrorism, meaning even domestic groups, certainly social unrest that then provokes more conflict. I'm not looking for that to happen. I'm just saying cause and effect, cause and effect. I wrote about it well over a month ago, I'm pretty sure, that it was, at least weeks ago, about the things we have to look at and think in advance. Social unrest, disruption to the food chain and supplies of all sorts, because human beings are growing the food. Human beings are packing up and sending and manufacturing things anywhere in the chain of supply.
Michael, something important. Audience is typing they need 5,000 unit D3. Actually, the 5,000 is a regular, what physicians tell you need. But when you take 5,000 unit of D3, does not get absorbed. I talk to doctors every day. And at this time, if you take 5,000, maybe 2,000 gets absorbed. That's why they say you need, if I can show this, hold on a second. K2, in America, Costco sells that. I'm sorry, the camera doesn't. Yeah, K2 opens your arteries, is a vitamin, and you need to find K2 in the vitamin source. If you don't take K2, vitamin D3 does not get absorbed. How much K2 you need? 1 or 2 tablets a day, 186 milligram each, and it's $20 at Costco. And by that, D3, you have to take 10,000 units at this time. Do not worry about toxicity. They say over 8,000 can be dangerous, so not at this time. Take it for a month or two, and if you feel sick, you lower it, or your blood test will show. My friend has 12,000 units a day, and he took a blood test. He was short. He was only 26% up to the accepted. I mean, he didn't even absorb the D3. So he's a researcher. He recommends you buy 2 kind of D3s, 2 different brands. One of them gets absorbed by your body, might not the other one, depending on many factors. So we don't even know what gets absorbed and what level. You also need a lot of different products here. Magnesium, definitely. L-carnitine, arginine, a lot of amino acids and protein powders, with powders you can buy from vitamin stores. You definitely need to take L-lysine, about 1,000 milligram minimum a day for immunity. Also, the most important thing, colloidal silver. Colloidal silver, right now Sprouts has, and $25 they're finishing. Yesterday they were finishing. My apology, Michael, go ahead.
That's okay. I just want to say though, David, there are certain things even that you didn't mention, like zinc and other things that are essential.
Oh, zinc, yeah.
But in terms of, look, I have colloidal silver. We have vitamin supplements with D3 and K2 and all that. But people have to still be careful, because if we start telling people to take certain things, not everybody is going to benefit from all the possible things. This is where self-responsibility comes in, where people need to, for instance, on the blog, we did publish health advice from the Play Iron that Christine and Dean put together for us. And it's back a week or two, whatever, on They Fly blog, health information from the Play Iron, you'll find it. And there's information like that in there too, but everybody should go through information such as you mentioned, such as the Play Iron mentioned, et cetera, and get a sense for themselves of what they feel is going to be beneficial for them. We're fortunate in Northern Arizona, even whether it's warm or cold weather, we have, in the morning, certainly, we have very strong sunshine. You don't want to get too much of it either, but you can augment and get, all of these things. Are there any other specific questions that I could address? Because a lot of this now, we all know what we're talking about here. We know where to find the information from Billy Mier on my website, blog, the Canadian, UK, they've got it in German, they've got it in Italian, and there's the Australian site. So we have all of our information available to everybody. And we, I just want to, what's the way to put it? I don't want to just sit here and regurgitate the same things. I think we've hit on a few things. Now we've talked somewhat about the nutritional thing, which is very important. It just requires people really have to get a lot of time in to go through it yourselves. We've talked about the real danger of this. This is a mutating, ever-shifting virus that has all sorts of weird and new aspects and behaviors to it that the Play Iron wrote in the last information. This is very tricky. Different peoples, different ethnic groups will react differently, different immune systems. They put out that our scientists should be paying attention to. We've got all this up and available, but are there any new questions? Are there any new undiscussed elements here that I, in my capacity, could show any, throw any additional light on? Let's see, Jernan.
Michael, I was told by Michael, I was told by my friend researcher, there's 5 kinds of COVID-2 viruses. SARS-CoV-2, a bunch of different names, but USA has SARS-CoV-2, SARS-CoV-2, the kind we got. And when it gets to a 5G neighborhood, 5G makes it very active and makes it toxic in the body, and get into toxicity very high, lack of oxygen, and that's why the patients need oxygen. So get into oxygenated mountains, get away from 5G, take all your water and supplies and stuff that you need to take, and eat a lot of strong food. You need hot foods, like lamb, which is not coming from Australia or New Zealand to USA right now. We are shortage of lamb instead of other meats, very strong meat. Don't eat too much chicken, no use in chicken. And also a lot of dates and hot food, figs, olives, stuff that makes you, my apology, go ahead, Michael.
I just want to say, okay, what I'd like to do here, because honestly, good nutrition is important, but it won't protect you. It won't prevent the virus from hitting you. I want to look here. I'm looking right now at the chat room, and there's a lot of things in here. Yesterday, I said there were 2 million people who got infection. Are they the whole world scale or just in the US? Jernan, I think that is worldwide as of March 19th, 2 million. As of March 19th, the numbers have to be way up.
That's not a, official records is not the real number. The real number is 20 times more than that.
Okay, I'm only citing sources that I know are reliable. It may be any number of other things. As of March 19th, according to PlayArn, 2 million people worldwide. Now, Emmanuel Jean says to mention, and if I miss anything here, let David know and I'll come back to it. Apophis. Apophis is a real threat to the whole world. And now that this has happened, a lot of people have taken their eye off of the focus of it. And it's the asteroid coming in that will either hit or pass by April 13th, 2029. That's coming up exactly on 9 years, if I've got that right. Or it will pass by on the 29th, April 2029 date and hit on April 13th, 2036. Right now, we're trying to do what we can. It's the same thing. We send information to scientists. We send it to groups that are supposedly all about asteroid day and they won't even respond to it. So this is the arrogance and the celebrity hunger, the craving for self-importance. And PlayArn wrote about this too. Our world and America's, but not exclusively, is full of self-important craving people who want to make sure that it's their blog and their things up that they can say, well, isn't that what's true about us? We're trying to give the information away to the world. It's not about me. It's not even about Billy Mier. Okay. So there was another question. Let's see.
Michael, what about Nibiru? Is there any talk Planet X on the...
Forget about it. All that is disinformation. Nibiru is a comet, an uninhabited comet that passes around every 35 or 3,600 years, whatever it is. Never was anybody who lived on it. Zachariah Sitchin, well-intentioned as he was, got so much stuff wrong. He started a whole movement of idiocy, and where people are now worrying about Nibiru and Planet X. Forget it. Apophis? Yeah. NASA discovered it in 2004, but Billy Mier first published it in 1981. And of course, NASA changed the size estimate to within 25 meters, what Mier said. But NASA, of course, won't acknowledge that Billy Mier has beaten them to the punch over and over. People only care about...
Did you say 25 meter?
Within 25, in other words, NASA had one estimate, Billy Mier had a specific figure that the PlayArn told him, then NASA changed their
What's
estimate.
Billy Mier's dimensions? Do you remember?
No, it was a general size of the thing, and you can find it on If you go to theyfly.com, just theyfly.com, I have an illustrated comic book, The Adventures of Billy Mier. You can read it and see the pictures right there. So we've been doing this for a long time.
What about nuclear event with China?
Well, we're pushing towards it, of course, because of the insidious policies of this country. Remember, the Hanok prophecies, which our friend Tony here now calls the Hanok predictions, can't argue with them. They foretell that the US and Russia, of course, other countries will come in with Russia, will clash with tremendous force with all of this horrific weaponry they've been developing because of the United States policies of trying to dominate the world politically, economically, and militarily, exploiting countries for decades and decades, well over 100 years, all this stuff. So right now, US and NATO are proceeding with what Mier foretold 2017 or before, with setting up the front in northern Germany to attack Russia. Mier published it. Within months, the first movements were made. People are too stupid to get it, not in this audience, but again, we're this relatively small group. And unless you get this video to go viral, people start saying, what, Billy Mier, COVID-19, Russia war, civil war?
Yeah, this is too much for public. You know,
Yeah,
80 years of research, we can't just throw, my spiritual teacher used to tell me, don't give your pearls to pigs. So all my life, I think about what he told me. And I'm not going to give every information I learned 30 years to public who ridicule me and laugh at me and yell at me. Forget about it. Let them die in dignity. Cheers
well,
to that.
Look, what are we going to do? So I want to see, just because I want to give as much value for the time on this, because I've got to go back now to trying to push soon on my local people here as much as I can, and on the public. I want to find out what I haven't covered that is of importance to any of this audience. Now, so what I'd like to do is, let's see. What, I can't see it all right now. How about this? I'm going to close my view of the chat room so that David, anybody who feels...
Well, there's not speculations they're writing. Andrew Dietz referred to the February 25th warning by Plarians. On February 25th, are the bullet points can print out? I don't know, things like that.
Okay, so let me say that. Yes, you can print out the bullet points. You might want to leave off the first one I had there about unprecedented ET contact, because a lot of people, they glaze over. All you want to be able, no, do it the way you want. But I say this, you say to people, look, here's what was published on February 25th. You might think that the source is controversial or whatever, irrelevant. It's 100% accurate. Here's the March 16th information. Here's stuff that was ostensibly first communicated in February or January. Here's the information. What are you going to do about it? You do whatever, when you're asking people, what are you going to do? Now that you know, you do whatever you can with this. You make it succinct. Don't write a book, like this long. Some people post or send emails to officials. They see this length and they dump it immediately. If they see something short enough, catch their attention, and maybe below that, you've got the points. You can say points below. These things were verifiably published on February 25th. They're all true. Doctors available to talk to you. Please respond. And then you can forward anything to me that you get a response on where you need help with it. So this is what we have to do in that regard.
Okay.
So what, any other unaddressed things?
Folks, anything else you guys want to ask? Michael, I got to keep rolling. And is Asket still in contact with Billy, by the way?
Okay, from what I understand, primarily the contacts now are with some of the Playaran people, Ptah and, Florina, maybe Inyana and other names. Maybe Asket's in the mix every now and then too. I think perhaps last February 3rd, but it's not, you know what? The ET stuff isn't important to us now at all. I mean, we love it, it's real, it's true, but it is the information. This is an unprecedented outreach from them. on February 25th for us to get, the first thing they said was for us to self-quarantine, if you read it. And we don't get that from in Arizona, like 3 days ago or whatever, they finally come down. I mean, we are dealing with difficult people.
Michael, let me emphasize something. We are sociable animals, biological entities. So we cannot lock ourselves. Suddenly, a lot of people I know, they're going crazy on Facebook. They're crying. They have psychotic overloads right now. So we are not capable of locking ourselves indoor all our life because of death or virus, which we should probably. I'm saying, whatever it is, we should solve this right now. Is it a vaccine, alien intervention, government, some doctor come up with some healing power or some, whatever it is, we should take care of this now. Otherwise, this thing can eliminate half of the humanity.
Okay, so Liliana just posted a little thing about the book, The Psyche. And this is where I wanted to say, and should have said more earlier, but about the spiritual teaching, the book, The Psyche, The Way to Live, and The Might of the Thoughts. Of course, all of Billy's books are brilliant, but those three books deal a lot with our understanding, our ability to come into ourselves and understand our psyche, our feelings, our emotions, our fears, our thoughts, our anxieties, our depressions, how to think our way moment by moment through this, so that actually when the doors finally open for us broadly as a society to come out safely, many of us are going to come out, really, if you think about it, and I'm encouraging this, we're going to come out there going, yeah, this feels good. I made the best of my time. Now, I wrote about this whole thing before about, and especially with Americans, we're not used to confinement. We're not used to being told what to do and all this stuff. Social unrest is coming. People are going to go wacky. Okay, that's just cause and effect. We understand that, and you're echoing it, David. Thank you. So what I'm going to now say to people, look, get the psyche, get the might of the thoughts, get the way to live. I carry them in my little shop and other things, and read the free spiritual teaching stuff at theyfly.com. Then we'll link you to all the other people who publish in the UK, in Australia, in Canada. Start to use the thing that they've given us, which is going to be the study of that humankind will go through for the future to come. Contact report number 10, the introduction to the spiritual teaching, freely available on theyfly.com. Read it. Read all of the stuff. Email me. If you don't know what I'm talking about or where to find it, you send me an email and I show you, I tell you. You can get it.
The audience was asking where is the safest place in U.S. Safest place in U.S. in my research is 14 level down in Denver Airport. That's what they build. From there, they have monorails. They go around the world. That alien technology gave them, and maglev.
No alien, forget alien technology, David.
I'm talking about 4 alien races that they walk in Pentagon. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, that's not true. Look, I understand. I have to say it because there is zero evidence. Not one of the quacks and phonies and liars in ufology. And believe me, I sent all of them an email the other day telling them, I hope you lose your shirts with your phony conferences. And all of the conferences are shutting down. Now,
negative. Wait a minute. I defend myself. I don't want to name the person, but a close contact with Pentagon contractors, they were told that people with a fish scale, human type aliens walk in Pentagon to assist the government in different technology. And now you're saying, again, only we exist as Polarians and nobody else.
No. Follow this along. Do you think any benevolent extraterrestrial race would have anything to do with our goddamn Pentagon and military system? No.
Well, there's a contract. They extract minerals they want or whatever.
David, think about this. You and I will have this battle here. It's great. An extraterrestrial race that has the technological capabilities to get to Earth is long-lived. They've developed a lot scientifically. They have pretty powerful consciousness.
Yeah, but we have genome. They need our genome for their
No, that's
also
David,
minerals in the ground.
David, that is new age bullshit. They don't need, and if they did, they don't need to make a contract with our stupid government to do, if they want to float somebody through the wall or abduct them, they don't, well, if you only let us do that, we'll give you some technology. That's, please, that is just.
You rejecting the idea of the four races are tall, whites, this and that. You rejecting that idea? They're working in parliament?
I reject all ideas claiming extraterrestrial anything for which zero tangible, testable evidence has been or will be presented. It's irrelevant. It's fairy tales to keep us away from the truth. You don't have to believe that there are Plejaren. You only have to look at the evidence, even just based on this information alone, that far wiser people are trying to help us. Not these
only Plejarians live in this universe?
Here's the thing. We can only say, according to the information in this case, there is an extraterrestrial race called the Plejaren, who for at least 13,500 years have been trying to help us straighten our world out by contacting 6 other previous prophets as well. But human beings of Earth are stubborn. They bought into stupid imaginary religions with non-existing gods, saints and saviors and the rest, and they are trapped in that to this day. And we've added to that nonsensical politics, and we've added to that the crap field of ufology with all of its unscientific, unsubstantiated nonsense. So let's leave that. If you want to do a show, and if you can get any of the UFO experts to come on, I'll be glad to debate them.
I called them to join us. You know what they say? We're going to have our own Zoom to make our own money. So all they think about is making more money, which I don't blame them. If I don't want to name again, if the guy can make $10,000 few hours of speaking on the stage, now he wants to make more money on the Zoom. Good luck for them.
Well, wait a minute. Why don't you name them? Why don't you?
You know, I have a capacity of 45 speakers right now. Put them on this format. I have a contract with Zoom, 45 speakers like you, and we let them speak one at a time, video live. I have a capability of putting 5,000 listeners. I have this and that, but they're not answering my question because they know me. They know who I am. You know, and it's a, you know, at some point the truth will come out and everybody will be ashamed.
Okay, so what we're focused on right now is information that is proved to be beneficial, accurate, etc. The whole ET type of thing is irrelevant. There's no evidence for it now. There may be things going on with other ETs that we don't even discuss at this point. It's not pertinent. We must focus on what we do with what we, all of us in discussion, know now at this point. We're a small number in the massive numbers of people in this world, awash in disinformation, baloney, politics, mind rot, religions, all the rest of it. So
Michael, where Pleiadians were, Plejarians were the humans after sank. Atlantis sunk in the ocean. They left to Pleiades with their ships.
No. There's plenty of information actually about how Atlantis came into being, how it was destroyed, and by whom, and all this stuff. It's free. I've got links to all of it on theyfly.com. Again, let us not. You know, don't you get a sinking feeling when you think about Atlantis? Really, right there in the pit of your stomach.
No,
anyway,
Michael. Atlantis is the most crucial thing we should talk about. That's why we are.
No, David,
we don't want to repeat the same mistakes.
David, we're wasting time and energy with any of that crap. There's nothing right now that we can do with UFOs or Atlantis. Here we are, and this is the difficulty we have. We've got people here wanting to focus on this material and know.
Yeah, they say focus on COVID-19. What else you got to say about before you leave COVID-19?
Okay. I don't think there's much to say. We will post always the newest information and the newest translations we get. We are in communication and partnership with our good friends at FIGU in Canada, who do tremendous work on this behalf, in contact with FIGU in Australia, and of course FIGU in Switzerland. and we are hearing from people in the UK with future, and all of these sources are trying to bring this to the world. In terms of things like mosquito transmission or something so far, while we have not heard directly that mosquitoes can transmit it, I had brought up the point after we learned from the Playaran that things like cockroaches and beetles and all, and other animals and mammals can transmit it, take into account the fact that the mutations of this virus might be adapting at some point to bloodstream kind of, I'm not saying I know this for sure. We want to protect ourselves against anything. For instance, the mosquito that came in touch with a mammal that has the disease and takes the blood and it sits on that mammal, it could have literally on its own hands.
That was something that researchers were saying, once the heat comes, the summer comes, the mosquitoes will suck your blood and the virus transfer it to 1,000 more.
That is information. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'm saying
it is accurate. What else do you want to, if mosquito can take the virus from somebody's body to yours, and the government has the government has the robotic mosquitoes. They can fly around. Ooh.
Get the government and robots, will you, for a minute? My point that I raised about mosquitoes a couple of weeks ago, my conjecture that they could be spreading this. I do not know that as a fact. It simply seemed like a reasonable possibility that it could go then into a blood transmission. But as I just said, for all we know, if cockroaches and beetles can transmit it, it's not probably from biting us as much as coming in contact with us or foodstuffs or other things. The point is we are awash in possibilities that are dangerous to us. And as we've said, those persons who could be helpful and who are technically responsible have all abdicated their responsibility to a high degree, though some people are doing the best they can. In the
I just calculated something. If they kill every senior citizen from above 65 to 85 years old, which are about 200,000 of them, they will die. And each senior citizen costs $2 million on Social Security and the health cost to the government. They can save $400 billion on that alone. There you go, your answer.
As April just pointed out, it's already killing younger people too. So let's just ground ourselves in the reality that we are trying to be sensible and be credible with people. If somebody comes and watches this thing, we don't want to be all over the place and worrying about extraterrestrial senior citizens and profitability. So what I would ask for right now, unless there is something specific that I could possibly be useful for right now, because I have to go back and do a bunch of stuff that's on my to-do list for today. David, if anybody has something that wasn't addressed, would you please immediately text, or chat to David?
Oh, they have a lot of complaints and questions. I mean, humanity has a lot of questions. The thing is, Polarians are not our final answer either. Like you said, we need to create solutions for our own problems. We need to come together, and researchers and scientists push the politicians aside and build a future. The first thing, most important thing, remove all the politicians from humanity. That's the best thing you can do for your future. And then everything will turn smoothly.
Okay, so let's be serious for a second here. I got somebody who asked about the remaining Henoch prophecies. We have seen so far that they have been, to the best of my knowledge, I think they've been unerringly correct. If so, we are facing, if you read those prophecies, you'll see that Billy Mier is talking about artificial intelligence, the coming destruction to humankind from AI and robots and clones. That's also present in Contact 251. So we have a huge body of information. If we are now, as I've called for many times, reverse engineer, see how this thing happened. How did we get here from there? Well, how did we get here with COVID-19? The same thing is true all the way through. we ignored. And this is why Billy Mier and Figu and other related people have been hammering away about overpopulation, because they're not trying to kill off people, Figu and Billy. They're warning that that so-called evil elite is more than happy to go ahead now and genetically engineer. Now that they know how badly this thing works, they've already been working on it. They're going to go ahead and target different cultures, races, groups, whatever you want to call it. So we have to try to bring reason to people within our sphere of influence. Donald Trump won't listen to me, even though today the idiot Fauci, or maybe he's not an idiot, maybe he's smart. He's saying, gee, they're seeing that this virus behaves differently with different people. Well, in the stuff that we published from Mier from February, they're telling us this. But
all these people are actors from Donald Trump's CNC. All these
no, don't go there.
To do a job to bring from Illuminati. These are all Agenda 21, and already 20 years they wrote it down.
Excuse me, when you spout this kind of shit, pardon me, with conspiracies, and we lose our credibility, and all of a sudden, all the hard work goes down the drain because people go, oh, well, they're just another conspiracy theory group. We are not. I am not involved in conspiracies. I get more idiocy from people who are in denial about the facts because they're paying attention to idiocy from QAnon and all this other disinformation.
Exactly.
Disinformation, UFO community, disinformation. Every one of them, liars and thieves. That's my statement. They want to come on and they want to sue me or call me out. You can arrange that, but right now, forget UFOs.
The guy doesn't come to speak, you know, I mean, we invite him many times and they're asking for money, $10,000, $20,000. So these are the kind of...
Okay, let's just say at this point, unless there is something that we have not really covered right now for the people, because I think
somebody said contact number 731 and 734. I don't know what those are.
Right. Those, I just have put up the most recent translation I have of it. I added them back in last night. That is information from Billy Mier's conversations back in early February, where so much more of this information that's still unknown by our scientific experts is published. Read it. You will know more by reading February 25th, March 16th, pardon me, and February 3rd information than all of our experts combined, unfortunately. And this is why their ignorance, I don't mean that they're necessarily ignorant people, but their ignorance of the information is harming the frontline medical personnel, harming the patients, and harming you and me, the public, our lives right now. Here, what are we going to do? A few dozen people take this. David, when will you be publishing the link on YouTube so people can know?
It's not about that. We will do that. The issue is, at this moment in history, we need, I asked you before, I know Billy Mier is old, he doesn't talk anymore. At this moment, we ask it and Tata to come live online and talk to us.
No, stop this religious thinking. We don't need new gods. These people are like university professors. We were in kindergarten, we maybe got into grade school, and they came in and they said, we're going to give a lecture to the class. Here it is online. Read this information, study it.
Then let's create research groups that we know about 10, 20 people. We build communities online, offline, and together.
Right. So I ask again, how soon will people have access to this recording?
As soon as I can do it, sir.
Okay.
And I'm asking, I don't want to do a pay-per-view for this YouTube link. And I'm asking somebody help us out. I myself need a lot of help to pay all these gizmos to bring things online and offline and my own living. So I need people to donate to us. I wrote my donation PayPal in there. I'm asking YouTube listeners to go to our website, 5devents.com, newhumanitymovement.com, and alchemyevent.com. And there's support us page, support us, donate to us, join our movement. Yeah, all the above. You know, I mean, we got to do things. We are a monetary system, so we need each other's help. Money is not in my bank account to do things.
Let's put it this way. I'm going to speak very bluntly to you and the rest of the audience. I am grateful now that some people helped set up a GoFundMe so I could pay for promotion, that I could get people to help me. And frankly, my own time, 10 hours a day, let's just call it 10 hours a day. That just happened now after 40 years of research. So I'm going to ask you, David, you've been doing these events for how long? Just
10 years we did face-to-face events, 5D events.
Okay. Do you want to tell people how much money you've spent on hotels and promotion and hiring people?
I lost my dad's inheritance, and people were saying, why you keep doing this? Because my passion, my research, my love, my life. I didn't make money. Everything we made was a loss. People are in event business. They know event business is the hardest business in the world. And
how long have I asked you to just focus on the Mier material, and you'd save your shirt? Instead,
what are you doing right now? I mean, this platform is yours right now. You can come back any day you want. You're welcome.
So good. So my point is this: right now, make this available. I know it's probably streaming now on YouTube, I hope. Make it available. People can grab the link to this and share it, I'm sure, with other people, because if it's up, then it's available. And let's proceed to do what we can, because right now, we just do not have a realistic clue as to how this is going to continue to unfold for months.
Like I gave you a clue. 45 of these big guys, researchers and speakers, they can come on this portal. They're not answering my invitation on Facebook. One of them I emailed, they emailed back, very famous one. We're going to produce our own shows on Zoom very soon.
David, I don't care.
What they want to do.
People that are interested in the Mier material don't give a crap about all the liars and profiteers. Forget it. Now, someone here just said it. In addition to our personal efforts, putting money into PR companies for getting the Mier material is the most important thing we can do. I have been reaching out over and over because I want to get a new high-powered PR company behind. People have donated money to my cause.
Yeah, you should have your own TV, which you probably have. I go on it every minute to listen or hear or watch.
One well-placed press release from a credible company will reach 1,000 times more.
That's an old-fashioned, old dog scenario.
No,
technology is moving forward.
Okay. We won't argue about that right now. We are trying to do that. We are trying to say, let's see here. He thanked me. Yeah, Billy said if health allows, we'll see each other again next year. Okay, I think we've done what we needed to do here today. All of the people who have and commented in our live interaction here, all the people that hopefully will be viewing this online subsequent, take this situation seriously. It is far greater and more dangerous than any of our governments have recognized, and we, through the Mier material, have said this since day one. Other than that, you can email me, you know how to contact me. I don't spend time on Messenger, Facebook. I hate Facebook, I hate Messenger, it wastes my time. If you want to contact me, if I can do anything, I will be glad to. So get in touch with me, and I am grateful to you, April, and everybody in the chat room who have taken your time.
Yeah, some of you guys, thank you so much. I'm thanking you myself too.
Yes. So until next time, I will now leave the meeting and leave. If anybody wants, David, if you want to talk to all these wonderful folks, please do. I've got to get back to my other duties with this, and we will, I'm sure, do something like this again. Yes?
Yes, sir. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us. This is 5D Virtual, 5D events.com, our website, newhumanitymovement.com, and you can come back and check out our other events. Saturday, I'll be speaking with one of our top speakers, Eric Dadmer. Thank you so much, Mr. Horn, and hope to see you again.
Thank you, and Salome to everybody that's participating.
Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, I called Billy Mier about 10 years ago. They were checking me on the phone. Who is this guy calling Billy and stuff? And then they went to talk to Billy. They showed me, they showed him my website, who I am and stuff. He told them he's a brother. Let him do whatever he's asking. So they answered my questions. That was a very positive thing. Yeah.
Salome. Until later. Bye-bye.
Right on, right on. Okay, I'm. Uh, thank you, audience. I'm still here, and anything else you guys want to ask me about anything? Maybe I can answer. I'm not a doctor, or I'm not. I'm a researcher. Also, anything before we leave, you can ask me. And if any one of you are a top speaker, want to speak at this, contact me. I put my email already, and I put my official email here that you can write to me at david@5devents.com with S, events, 5D, number 5, letter D, events.com. And thank you, David. Thank you, Catherine. And thank you, everyone else. Sorry, I'm overreacting sometimes. We are getting tired of this situation that they're not letting us to organize. I've been attacked many times too, and they stop us doing things that we have to do to seriously take care of our communities, our families, in matter of different kinds of, from business, spirituality, health and wellness, and research, all the knowledge some of us we have out there that is getting wasted, and myself too. And now the internet give us the chance, but we're getting tired of the opposition stuff. They're still trying to kill people and create a new world with their agendas and stuff. So that's why, according to Hopi prophecy, the timelines will change. One humanity will go straight, which is them, same bullshit, and we go higher and higher. The timeline that we have to create and you have to do. And if I'm not here tomorrow, I'm not going to live too long to keep teaching all this to new kids like my kids and others, which they don't even understand. They don't have the capacity of neurons in the brain. You talk on Facebook and these kids mock you, and they want to, they're mind controlled and brainwashed in schools and their society and TV and their cell phones. You know, the worst mind control in the world is your cell phone. So, and it's the best blessing also. With technology, they dumbed us, our kids, with chemtrails, with the food, with the TV, with everything they do in life. And even Montauk Project, Al Bilik was telling me how 20 years ago on the phone, he told me, on Montauk Chair, they had projects. They would take the kid out of their seat at homes for weeks, and they would take them to Montauk Chair, transport them to the timelines in different planets and different projects, and whatever they do with the kids. And then when bring it back, they will bring it back 1 second before they left them time-wise. So the parents will see the kid, well, the kid is still there. So, and that's why, that's how alien technology has changed the planet now. With Tesla and other contacts they had with the aliens, they've created the paperwork they stole from Tesla, which Trump's uncle took all that research. And probably there's assumption that Trump is a time jumper, and they got information on how to create a time machine and jump in the future and see what's going on so they can do projects like this. So no matter what, our projects will go forward. With me or without me, you guys would run this business and create the movement, the new humanity, teach your kids to be free, healthy, take care of yourselves, keep on your research, keep on the positive mode that we will survive no matter what virus, what war, what things going on in this world. We will have safe locations. We will have safe water, safe food, and save humanity very soon on this planet if you guys join each other and create those groups that I'm talking about, 50 small groups, and then we connect them online, offline, in meetings, and soon, within months or so, few months, hopefully we will see each other in face-to-face. We do have October 23, 4, 5 Las Vegas event, 5D events, which we hope things go right and we go on stage. So even though this thing would lag up and down for a few years, but that doesn't mean that it will be over congested in America. We can overcome that. And I hope you guys are in Canada. Canada is open space, a safe place to survive. New Zealand, good for you guys. You have the best place to access clean water, clean air, and or other parts I saw. And so God bless humanity, God bless sentient beings, and be who you are. God has given you, your creator has given you a cosmic seed inside you. That's what it counts. You have to connect to that cosmic seed inside you. That's what will save us and will keep us forward. And our body is a total machine that nothing can penetrate it unless we put it in our nose, mouth, or whatever. So basically protect your 9 holes, and from there, and what you eat. So basically the clean water, clean food, and whatever we smell or touch. So we go from there, and God bless you, and amen. And we see you very soon again. Thank you. We stopped the recording on Zoom, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.